If you're a business owner, your ultimate goal should be to make enough money for you to be able to retire.
Okay.
So number one would be, and not many people actually go there, is what's their number? So if they're going to stop in business tomorrow, what's their number? And what number would they want to have as income, whether it's passive income or whether they sell their business to actually get to?
Hello, everybody. It's Amadeus, and today I'm sitting with a very special guest, Michael Hem, accountancy and wealth management. MDH, you had this company for 8 years. And would you mind just telling me, why did you decide, if you can go back in time, why did you decide to get into the accountancy industry?
I was in the accounting industry because I was passionate about business and passionate about business and helping people understand accounts, because a lot of business owners don't. So I trained at various small firms of chartered accountants to get my AAT qualification and then my chartered qualification, and then completed the post years qualified experience.
Okay, so was this back at university? Did you study accounting?
No, it was all vocational. So I left school at 16.
Wow.
And mainly because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I went through various jobs, and I came to a point of where I knew that I wanted to be in business. I knew I wanted to become an accountant. So at that point there, I got an office junior position that allowed me to start the AAT qualification. And my career started from there.
Okay, so I want to go really back in time. You said something that was really interesting. You said you left school at 16.
Yes.
So what was that, if you can remember, what was that thought process? Like, why did you decide, to leave, essentially?
Lots of different reasons. One, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Two, I wasn't happy in school. And when you're not happy in school and you don't really know what you're working towards, for me personally, I'm not going to be very good at it.
Okay.
So I left school at 16 and did various jobs.
Wow. So various jobs, can you just name a few that you did?
Manual labour,
Manual labor.
to data entry, to general office jobs, to a range of everything.
Wow.
So a lot of them were temporary contracts, and it was just to cut my teeth to understand on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be.
So how does that experience, a lot of people say at a very young age, you should know what you want to do. But what you did was, you just did various jobs. How was that experience of doing multiple things?
When you're doing a lot of low-level jobs,
Okay.
you realise sometimes how rubbish they are.
Wow.
So when you're in a job that you're not completely passionate about, it gives you focus and it gives you drive and desire, ultimately, to then work out what you want to do, and then that desire carries on fueling you, that once you make that decision on what you're passionate about, you then go and do it.
Okay. And then, so you've done those various jobs, and so I can imagine, you probably see your peers, they're going to university. So how was that? Were you kind of comparing yourself to your peers at the time?
Sometimes a little bit, but society tells you that you must go to university.
Yes.
But in some qualifications, university's outdated education.
Wow. No, I totally believe in that. And I wanted to ask you this later on in the interview, but I'll just ask you it right now. So from a pure accounting and finance perspective, just pure numbers, if you was to look at just some numbers of, okay, you have a 18-year-old making a 20K, 30K, 40 to 100K pound or US dollars decision with amount of interest for 20, 30 years, just strictly based off the numbers, do you think that's you think university is a great investment?
I think university's okay.
Okay.
But I think there's some things that they teach you that are completely detached from the real world.
Okay.
You'll get some graduates that will come in here looking for an employment that think straight away they should be on 40 grand a year. Can't do the job, got no experience. Some of the things are helpful, but I find the accountancy and business management stuff helps them later on in their career. So when they go to a manager level, when they've got to then deal with people, which is completely different from dealing with accountancy, they've then got a little bit of knowledge to then help them implement that to the future. because a lot of people train to become an accountant or train to be a certain career, they don't train to become business leaders.
Okay.
And also accountancy's a lot of dealing with people. So it's not just about doing a tax return. It's a customer service industry.
Understood. So it's not just about the skills and the practical, if I understand as well.
It's very important,
Yeah,
but it's only a part of it.
And so how was it for you? Were you ever challenged based off your quote unquote lack of education? So you're sitting in front of rooms of people with
Loads.
PhD, yeah.
Loads. And then it's just down. What I did originally was I settled down at an office junior job where I took a big cut in money.
Wow.
And I started studying the AAT qualification.
Wow. AAT, what's that?
Association of Accounting Technicians.
Okay.
So the equivalent of that is the equivalent of an MVQ level 4 or 5, I think.
All right, so I'm going to ask you all those abbreviations because I may not know, people may not know. So
It's the equivalent of a degree,
okay,
but not as prestigious.
okay,
So your AAT is your degree,
okay.
and I instead of actually going to university, I did that while working with various firms. So I started off with building experience in a very small engineering firm that their accounts was all over the place, and I got the opportunity to go in there and make it good.
Okay, I was just about to ask you, so how did you go from all those various jobs to accounting? So you said it started off for a small engineering firm.
Yeah, so
then,
I got involved heavily in their accounting,
okay,
and I was studying the Association of Accounting Technicians qualification.
okay,
That allowed me to build up the stuff that I was learning at college
yes,
to help an engineering firm whose accounts were just not there. There wasn't really a mess. They were all over the place.
So, what were some of the things that sparked? Because at this,
I got real life example of the stuff that I was learning in college, of the way it should be. I got the opportunity to then implement it into a live firm.
so if you can remember, what would do you remember two primary things that you've done to help that business out? What were two practical things that you've done?
Identify 10 grand's worth of debtors that was unpaid customers,
Wow.
and we then implemented regular invoicing. So when they was going in for repeat works, they did a lot of maintenance.
Okay.
We then implemented repeat invoicing into a diary work schedule, which made sure they invoiced on time.
And then so was it 10 grand? How was the 10 grand repaid? Was it repaid just at one time, or was it just paid?
No, they wrestled a bit and said, "I'm not sure we've done these invoices," and we had to go back with evidence to say, "Look, these invoices have not been paid.
Okay.
This was the work that was done. It's payment time." So you always get a little bit of wrestling because no one likes paying 10 grand.
Okay.
But we got it back from the company in the end.
All right. So after the 10 grand was paid, they say, "Okay, Michael." Then what was some of the other things that they had you do? Because obviously, they were impressed, or what was the reaction?
Just put in loads of systems, procedures, and implement stuff in their accounting department that they needed. So there wasn't anyone in house that was doing it, and it was just a bit of a mess. So what my job there was to help tidy it up, to make it easier for an external accountant to come in to do the accounts and corporation tax returns.
Yeah. So I would like to know, in your years of business accounting, when a small business comes to you, what are some of the two pretty common things that you see, let's just say in a balance sheet, that's just like, again?
The two most common things with a business owner is probably more than a balance sheet.
Oh, wow.
One is normally they are really frustrated because they would be an industry leader, they would be an expert in their field.
Okay.
So that could be someone in construction, it could be someone as an architect, it could be a videographer, it could be anything on what they are. So they'll be an expert in their field, or they'll be really strong about what they do and passionate. But when it comes down to the accounting, they're not trained.
Okay.
So our job really, number one, is to provide clarity. What you tend to find is people that come through our door are either people that are in a mess because it's all gone wrong and they may need to change an accountant if they're an established business, or number two, they're a startup. So if it's a mess, you then need to go and unravel what's gone wrong, fix it, improve it if it's necessary. Or secondly, you then need to help them on how to implement their accounting and teach them how to do it, or we'll take over the accounting department. So I'd say the number one word for that is to give clarity.
Give clarity. And then just to stay on top of the question, so another common thing that you see in a balance sheet, or that
is businesses that have had all their money taken out by their owners.
Okay.
So a really common sign on a balance sheet is a majority of small businesses that I see are undercapitalised.
Okay.
So they're constantly there trying to find money to pay creditors or pay corporation tax, etc., etc., etc.
How do you feel about, for a business, do you think it's better to, work with a tight budget and not have a lot of cash? Or do you think it's good to have, a lot of cash in the bank?
It depends personally on your personality type.
Okay.
There are some people that revel in it, and that will motivate them harder to go stronger.
That's me. That's me. Yeah. Okay.
And that's fine. But secondly, if you're sometimes by being in that zone, you'll have to get finance that is really expensive. So if you're in an overdraft,
Okay.
or if you're in a business loan,
Yeah.
a lot of small businesses are paying a lot of money for that finance.
Oh, okay.
So if they manage to keep whatever their working capital was, because it varies by business to business, they would save money automatically.
And then because I remember I took an accounting class, and for a business that has a lot of year by year, they have just a lot of cash, a lot of assets. Do you think it's a good idea to have a lot of cash and assets in the account, or?
Again, I think that depends on what the overall goal is of the business. Okay. I think a lot of business owners get involved in tactics, or get involved in a little segment part of it, and a lot of people don't really focus on exactly where they want to go. So I'm not saying a 5-10 year budget plan that's going to work to the minimum, but at the end of the day, if you're a business owner, your ultimate goal should be to make enough money for you to be able to retire.
Okay.
So number one would be, and not many people actually go there, is what's their number? So if they're going to stop in business tomorrow, what's their number? And what number would they want to have as income, whether it's passive income or whether they sell their business to actually get to? That's one question that not many people go to.
Start with a number. And do you think that, you just gave me an idea, you think that's a good idea to do it kind of on a short goal basis as well? Like,
I don't think it's a bad shout, because I think you'll have your big, hairy, audacious goal that you want to get to. So a lot of business owners, it's always £1 million turnover. But secondly, it's just like, initially, it's like, what money would you need to be comfortable on to support your family? And to support your life?
Okay. So I kind of want to jump back, and you said that when most people come to you, they're either their accounts are just really messed up and they're coming for help, or B, they're just getting started. So let's just say, at which stage do you think it's safe or comfortable or recommended to come to an accountant? At the very beginning, or?
I would say so. I would say so. I understand a lot of businesses when they start off want to keep costs lean, because that's what they've been taught to do. But the term accountant's not protected. So you tomorrow could set up as an accountancy firm with zero experience. And what you tend to find is there'll be certain advisors that may be bookkeepers that are very competent at what they do, but with some of the more advanced tax, and some of the more managing of the business and understanding and helping a business owner go on this journey that I mentioned, they can outgrow them. So you want to make sure that your accountant can go with you the whole journey. And if they are a small startup accountant, have someone in mind who you can go to afterwards if you're looking to initially keep costs lean.
So, let's just say, okay, I'm starting a company and I do want to hire an accountant. What services would I mainly need? Because obviously you provide a lot of services. What are some of the key services?
The key services would be to basically keep you legal.
Okay.
So if you're a limited company, for an example, the initial services that you'll be is your standard day-to-day accounting, potentially VAT returns, potentially running a payroll, year-end accounts, and also corporation tax as well at the same time, with some company secretarial duties. What we do here is we can train you to do some of these services yourself. So I think it's a really good idea if some customers actually do their bookkeeping themselves, because then that way, by them inputting the numbers, they actually get a real feel for what's actually going in and out of their business. Because we all remember the really good days, we all remember the really bad days, but it's the stuff in the middle that gets mushed together. And sometimes when you're in it day to day, it's not until you stand back and reflect on it.
And you really see what's going on.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So what you tend to find is them services will keep you legal, but with some of them services, we can do the whole lot. Because if someone goes, look, I'm at my business 24/7, I'm going to earn a bucket load more money. I have no interest in doing the accounts. I want you guys to hand it over. That's fine. And there's technologies out there at the moment that can make that a really slick operation. If they wanted to do the bookkeeping, the VAT and the payroll themselves, we could potentially train them how to do it. And then we can do the year-end accounts, corporation tax returns, but also give them proactive advice during the year. Proactive to me is before the whole horse is bolted. So 3 months before the year end, we book in a tax planning phone call. So we run through everything that's really good housekeeping to be able to save you as much tax as legally possible at the year end. We also produce a book called 71 Ways to Pay Less Tax. That every client of ours gets a copy of that 120 days before their year end, before the pre-year end tax planning meeting. So then they can have a look through it themselves. The reason for that is no one knows the client's life better than them. And we've got the skills and expertise. So the better we communicate and the better we understand each other and the better our relationship, the better end result we have.
So what's the danger of operating a business without hiring out an accounting firm or doing the accounts yourself? What's the danger of just running a business?
If you get it wrong. So if you get it wrong. Now, we don't have a lot of customers walking through the door going, I love my accountant, so can I come in and see MDH? We get people that are either being chased by HMRC or chased by Companies House or chased by credit. So we get a lot of people that come through our door are people that have got problems that need solving. So if a lot of them problems, if they'd had the right advice, the right systems, tools implemented and followed properly, they wouldn't have got into them problems. So that could be for a manner of reasons, not filing your accounts on time, your accounts could be incorrect, your tax could be incorrect, you haven't filed your proper returns for your payroll. It could be a whole load of stuff that the standard small business is not going to know all of that. Because there's been a lot of regulation, especially over the last 2 years, where small businesses have now got to provide a workplace pension, and there's a whole lot of paperwork that goes towards that. They've also had extra taxes from dividends, where that everyone's seen a 7.5% rise on their tax returns. That's been a big hit in the last 18 months. But with us, we keep an eye on the tax changes, and we tell our clients beforehand that this is coming.
Now, has there been any huge tax changes? I'm sure there has been, since obviously Brexit. What were some of the
two biggest ones are the dividend tax. Because if you're now go above the middle rate threshold, which technically is above 45, you're paying effectively 52.5% in tax.
Wow.
Because you're paying 20 to 19% in corporation tax, depending on where your year end hits, and you're paying 32.5% in dividend tax.
And you said this after how much?
Say again. So if you add both of them together, the corporation tax and the dividend, 52. Well, it's 51 now because it's gone down to 19.
Wow. And what was it before Brexit?
It was 7.5% less.
Wow, that's crazy. And then you said in order to achieve success, you talk about this one word, change. And so
talk about
change. Well, on your website it says embracing change is hard, but it's necessary for success. What are some of the changes that you had to make to operate MDH?
We initially, because I set up MDH myself, I was trading from a bedroom. We then went from a service office into a bigger office. So what you tend to do when you're scaling a business and you're going from the owner manager is delegating procedures, writing systems to make sure your team do it better than you do.
All right, and then also another thing so when you're dealing with clients who's a bit reluctant to change, how do you actually convince them? Now we mentioned accounting is more than just the numbers, what are some of the things that you do to, I guess, negotiate or convince or persuade people that, hey, listen, you need to do this, unless.
Well, it then links back to their ultimate goal.
Okay.
So my personal opinion is, once you understand everyone's long-term and medium-term goals, every single decision should be based around getting to that goal.
Okay.
Now that goal is going to be really important to them because they're going to want it. They're going to really have a desire for it. So as long as you can demonstrate them decisions help them get to that goal, which is normally two things. It's normally basically increasing profits by either coming up with business decisions or saving them tax, either works, or helping them save time. Because there's a lot of business owners that are working a lot of hours per week, per month, when if they worked a bit more smarter by using technology or having team members to do it, they could be more fruitful. We've got various service levels. So we've got accountancy services, which will cover a lot of accounts, corporation tax, payroll, the normal accountancy services that you'd expect from an accountant.
So, okay.
We also have business growth services, which is where we take on, from where the accountancy services stop, we take further. So examples of that is...
And that's what I want to go through, all right? And I want to go through that, right? So I have a list of some of those services that you just mentioned. I'm going to just say it, and I kind of just want you to briefly explain it, okay?
That's
so
fine.
First off,
also, don't forget wealth management as well. So there's 3 sections.
Okay. So you have your accounting.
Yeah.
You have your
business growth.
And
financial services.
So we're going to go to business growth services.
Yeah.
Okay? So first, goal setting. And let's just say, okay, I'm entering. Hello, my name is Amadeus. Nice to meet you. I want to know about your goal setting service.
Right. So the goal setting service is basically stripping stripping down. I tend to find the majority of business owners that I talk to don't have their ultimate and medium goals clearly defined.
Okay.
So they may get wrapped up in tactical issues, but them tactical issues of whether it should go to here, to here, to here, they don't have clearly defined what is their key number, why they get out of bed in the morning, what is their ultimate income, and where are they going. So what we tend to do it tends to be a half day on there. We have loads of techniques and exercises that we do that then basically builds out what genuinely, and when they strip off all the layers that they've got, what would be their goals that they're aiming for. And it's okay for them to change along the journey, but to have a clear, definite, defined, this is my goal, is a great attribute to start everything.
Now, I will say that is an excellent service to provide on top of accounting. So I will commend you on that. Second is the personal balance sheet. So can you explain that?
Right. We tend to find, and it works really well with financial services, because financial services will look at a personal balance sheet. Why that gets ignored a lot. There's lots of business owners that I've spoken to that earn 100 grand a year plus and have a 200 grand a year lifestyle. So,
Understood.
So while their P&L may be very good and their balance sheets may be dwindling, their personal balance sheets could be wrapped up with low liabilities.
And personal balance sheet, just so I'm sure.
So if you look for Michael himself, you take all the houses you own, less mortgages, your pensions, your ISAs, your cash at bank, your loans, less your credit cards. So if you took a picture at a given time, today you've got all of these assets and all of these liabilities.
And so you're pretty much so you're just identifying the snapshot.
The snapshot, because what you'll tend to target is you'll want to increase your personal balance sheet.
Okay.
So one of my own personal goals, and each year I measure it on the 31st of August, is I'm aiming to increase my personal balance sheet until it gets to a certain size.
Certain number. And one of the services you provide are follow-up calls. What exactly is
the follow-up calls is we've got basically a service called Board View.
Okay.
So that can be monthly, that could be bi-monthly, that could be every 10 weeks or every quarterly. What you tend to find from that is them sessions are taking yourself out of your business. So you would look at a lot of your data, which could be from a balanced scorecard perspective, so information about your customers, your finances, your operations, and your team, and you'll look at all of that data and go, how am I tactically getting on, which links to my year goal, to my ultimate goal. So every decision, all of the metrics that you're measuring, link to where you want to be for that annual target and also your long-term goal.
Okay.
So every decision is looking to make that business better to go there,
Okay.
rather than just random decisions that take you randomly anywhere.
All right. So fantastic. So we kind of went through.
Sorry. The follow-up calls are in between them sessions. The most important part of them meetings are the actions that you set.
Okay.
So the actions that you set, from what we've discussed, will hopefully make your business and your life better. In between that period, we introduce follow-up calls just to check in how people are getting on.
Okay.
Are they struggling? Have they got challenges? Have they got extra things? Just to show them a bit of love, really.
Okay.
Because if you're doing it quarterly and you've got 3 months, to check in after 6 weeks is a good move, because a lot of things can happen in a quarter.
Okay, so you're pretty much, just holding them accountable and following up and keeping the communication between you and your customers.
Of course.
So, all right, so you provide an extensive amount of accounting and services, and more so about wealth management. Unfortunately, I don't know much about that industry, so I stuck to accounting. But so yeah, unfortunately, I'm very limited in that. But would you mind just saying in a few words, or just basically explain what some of the services that you provide for wealth management?
For wealth management, it is what it says on the tin. So what you have got in wealth management is a lot of legislation so we've got our own in-house IFA.
Okay. IFA is
independent financial advisor, who's got multiple advanced qualifications on how to deal with people's money.
Okay.
So that can be a lot of dealing with people's pensions and people's ISAs, because you want them to be saving you tax. You'd also want them to be an appropriate risk level and appropriate return, so it's actually earning you money.
And this can also tie into the personal balance sheet that you service.
100%.
Okay.
So this is where the accountant and the financial advisor can really work together to give Mr. or Mrs. Client the best service.
Okay.
Because if we're all coming from the same page, which is your personal balance sheet and your goals, we can then make every decision going towards them.
Now, I'm going to make the bold assumption, that people that come to you for accounting are different from people that goes to you for wealth management. What are some of the common, not problems, but common issues or things you have to fix or do when it comes to wealth management? People come to you.
With wealth management, the ones that are coming up recently are people have got big amounts in their pension pots, and no one's looked at them for 10 years.
Okay.
So there was a client recently that had it was just in excess of £500,000 in their pension pot, and no one had looked at it for 10 years. So if you got that in a stack of £5 notes as a big tower, that would be quite a really, really big tower. You would not look at that for 10 years. You also had another client that walked in recently that's got.
I do need some clarity on this. What do you mean by you would not look at it for 3 years, 10 years?
No, so they had a pension that was accumulating for 10 years and didn't have an advisor properly assess it.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So within that 10-year period,
no one's really looked at it. Has it performed well?
Okay.
Are the charges fair for what they're getting? And also, how well is it performed with a level of risk?
Okay, so one of the big, I had to really go back on that again. That's not my accounting financial brain. So within that 10-year period, so you find out a common issue is that people have these pensions.
Yeah,
but no one's really looking at it,
we had one gentleman that popped in recently that had a sizable pension pot, and it had an advisor, but he hadn't spoken to them for 9 years.
Wow.
And that we then ideally you want to basically see an advisor every year at least, and also you want the opportunity that if you do have questions, that people are only phone call away.
Okay.
So what we tend to do here is people have multiple points of contact. There are sometimes people when they go on holiday or if they're busy with meetings and stuff like that, we want to make sure every client feels important. So the way that we do that is we give people here multiple points of contact. So for the wealth management, for the accountancy services as well.
Okay.
So every client's treated how they should be, which is time.
You've been running this company for, you said, 8 years, and what does it take? What is something that it takes for an entrepreneur or a business owner to keep a company running with people and salaries and their families? What does it take for you to keep this company running?
Is with your team. You have to go through various different stages, and it starts with trust.
Okay.
So you have to trust your team to be able to do a really good job and let them get on with it. Okay. The way that helps with trust is also communication as well with the team. So what we do is we profile every single team member, including myself, using 2 different personality psychometric tests. So we use the Nigel Businesses Zoo around here, and we also use Roger Hamilton's Talent Dynamics. And every single person in our team knows what each other's metric is, because if you're an animal per se, I need to be the zookeeper, where I'm then talking to the animals as the lions, the dolphins as the dolphins, the elephants and the elephants, and the monkeys as the monkeys. Because if you communicate how people like to be communicated, you build trust and you have a better rapport.
So how you took a whole different perspective from it. A lot of people, when they answer that question, they say, I need to do this, I need to do that. You said the team. It starts from the team and the people, and together as a community, as a team. That's how we keep the company alive. So, Michael, I can go on. This has been such an educational experience for me. Before I leave, I saw something in your office that I want to.
If you swiped it.
This wanted. Oh, yeah. Can you explain what is this?
Yeah, I can. So basically, no. One second. Basically, one of the best sources of getting new business for an accountant is referrals.
Okay.
So if you have these on the meeting room table, people go, "Oh, what's that?" And you say, "This is a list of businesses and that are in the construction industry that we want to work with.
Oh.
Do you know any of them?" And then what they do afterwards is they go, "No, you don't. But are you looking for property and construction clients?" "Yes, we are." "I know someone there. Go and speak to Julie at X company. I know her very well. She might be interested in the conversation." So what that does is that sparks a conversation when you're doing your sign-off meetings, or your clients are coming in to say, "What's that?"
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. What's that? So wow, it's a referral generation tool.
What we also do as well is we've got this referral. I'll show you a wine box in a minute.
Okay.
We basically have this form here, which is again a referral brochure.
Wow.
So what we do is, if any customer gives us a referral, and it has to be a face-to-face meeting, we give them a case of wine, whether they sign up or not.
That's amazing, and because it shows that I think a lot of problems I see in some businesses, because I'm a video producer. I do not accounting, but video production. Is and marketing. I feel that a lot of people don't aggressively seek out people and aggressively seek out business. And the best things that happen for me is referrals. It's, "Hey, Amadeus. Oh, you should know this person." I think the fact that you strategize your referrals, I think, is brilliant.
We also ask at every meeting. So we ask at any meeting, and we change the word referral to introduction.
Okay.
Because I think it's slightly softer.
Yeah.
And we ask for an introduction of anyone that's a like-minded business, and explain the type of customer we're targeting.
So, thanks so much. There's a couple of questions I like to ask all of my guests. One, patience or persistence?
Both.
If you had to choose one.
Persistence.
Persistence. One person in your life outside of your family that you're very grateful for?
Outside of my family? Grateful or inspirational?
You can inspiration as well.
I would say inspirational is too many. I would say grateful for is my current team.
Really? Okay, and then London and one word.
There's lots that come to mind, but I'd say if I was thinking about it, opportunity.
Opportunity. Thank you so much. MDH.me.uk.
That's it.
Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.